these two so far, but OXG want to start with the right foot forward. DAMWON Gaming is going to choose the offensive side here for Coastline, which has been insanely strong here on this map the entirety of this tournament. Twitch will end up being banned out from Oxygen, just awaiting one more here, at least for the offensive side. It's going to be an OSA ban coming in from DWG, and honestly, I love to see this. OSA has been a pretty rudimentary operator that we've been seeing worked into this map specifically to assist in a lot of different ways. You can put these OSA shields on hookah balcony. You can also use them to get some pretty cheeky plants inside of billiards. There's a lot of different applications for these shields that people are finding, and well, at least for DWG, seeing it as a little bit too influential. I'll get rid of it, as well as Mira and Valkyrie to follow suit.
So it was a specific target ban against Oxygen. They were the team that was kind of abusing it the most when we saw it back in the group stage, this map coming up there. Oxygen able to use it quite proficiently, especially get aqua plants going against hookah billiards. That's where it worked out the best for them there. So DAMWON Kia just not wanting to deal with that, not wanting to have to shake up their own operator selections to bring more impacts in to possibly deal with that. This will give them a little bit more comfortability and a bit more freedom in terms of their picks for those sites here to play into their own strategy. They will not be on the defensive start, however, so we won't see that come into effect until the second half here. Instead, it's going to be Oxygen that take the defensive side start, as they'll be going for a kitchen and service hold on the first round.
And obviously, that also means that Thatcher will not be banned away, so Woogie will be running that for the time. Ren also going to 6-pick away from the Finca and pick up Flores instead. Flores with his Rotero drones will be getting all of these harder to reach spaces that utility usually ends up getting grabbed by ADSs or things along those lines, since the Rotero drone is explosive and only can be nabbed up by mute jammers as well as Mozzie pests. This makes it a lot easier in order to get rid of some defensive utility. So we'll see how strong Rin can possibly be with those drones. Past that, Coded will be bringing in the Aces. Ace works out so very well for these situations. Usually not the primary hard breach when it comes to it, but Coastline doesn't need a primary hard breacher. And also with that AK-12, giving it to somebody like Code, it is definitely a very strong kit to have at your disposal. I'm getting some drones spun up and set up around the space here to see if they can get some early insight into Oxygen. No real destruction here of the blue wall just yet. We will be having a kitchen defense here for OXG, and really nothing too big to talk about. Obviously, the Aruni will be coming in, so they'll have to worry about the laser gates, but everything else making quite a bit of sense to the overall strategy.
As DAMWON Kia work their way out onto the map, it's going to be the slow build-up as usual here. Those Rotero drones swinging in. I think that first one actually getting shot out by the pump inside of the site. Kino being able to dispatch 1 out of 4 of those, but we're going to work their way in soon in a moment or two. Start to see them being deployed a little bit more safely, though, as that first one's going to go off and actually deletes a surprisingly small amount of the utility inside of here. I think it only got 2 ADSs. There's still a third one hiding up in the corner on top of the Banshee, so props to Oxygen for some good placement on that to minimize the amount that would get taken out by a single one of those Rotero drones.
And that initial Rotero drone going a little bit too wide there. Don't necessarily know why Rin felt the need to drive it all the way in towards Kegs, but maybe he saw some utility back there that they really wanted to get rid of. Finally able to find that Banshee that I thought they were going to grab the first time around, but luckily enough they'll do it now instead. But still have to worry about one of the laser gates as well as an ADS in this space that they'll have to clear out. And obviously only having one set of nades, this is going to mean quite a bit. You want to see this burned with something else, more than likely the Gemini clone coming out of Yas as DK start to take control of the top floor.
Boogeyman taking that little bit of damage. Aside from that, though, both teams just trying to posture against each other inside of the early round here. No one wanting to go out on an island so early on just yet. Fox 8 will be creeping forward, though, to try and abuse any roof positions that have still been maintained by DAMWON Kia, but as you guys can see at home, not a whole lot of that right now, so Fox 8 will continue to maintain luggage positioning until, of course, he gets spotted out by a drone, which will then send him with his tail tucked between his legs further back, closer to the rotation point over at the Cool Vibe stairs. Gotta be careful, of course, as he crosses VIP. Rin has the cutoff for this if he goes a little bit too deep over into billiards there, in the normal hold position when this is the site played, so has to be careful for that, but even Rin doesn't seem too confident to maintain this position himself here, so that's going to be a bit of a stalemate as we enter the final minute of the round with DAMWON Kia not having made a lot of forward momentum, struggling with that same issue here of clearing out the extended play from Oxygen. and then having to work their way into the site here. So Oxygen still sits with a very confident hold inside, specifically their kitchen play possibility for DAMWON Kia to sneak their way in through service, but for the most part, not looking too confident here as they now try to swing in and take front lobby control with only 30 seconds left.
Oh, a beautiful shot from Woogieman to take down Laxing. Foxay already taken some earlier damage as well, but with very low time, this is working out swell for Oxygen. Vertical's made his way into Courtyard and has the possibility of finding some frags, but now being pressured from so many different spaces, the kills now coming into the blue camp. Woogieman starting to push himself forward, but that's case control down. It's down to just Foxay on white stairs, but can they get the case picked back up? They can indeed. Yasuo hold on to it. Rin on the overwatch here as Foxay's trying to prevent. Yasuo be able to secure this, and this might be a DWG round, although it was so very slow boiling initially. Rin to double back outside and find Foxay at the main Lamborghini doorway.
The cheeky run out is Red way in advance there, and Foxy's gonna get clothesline, stopping his clutch attempt before it even really gets started. DAMWON Kia, a confident win, all things considered, leading up to that dying point in the round. Their Oxygen giving over far too much respect, holding themselves back, assuming that their utility, if anything, would have bled out the remaining time on the clock. Big mistake as DAMWON Kia are able to make it work in their favor instead and pick up that first round through that mistake.
And once it comes down to low time, you really want to see Oxygen use that man count to try and nip it in the bud.
Bully them a little bit.
Yeah? Exactly. You want to see them set these guns on fire and just start trying to take some fights, but we don't see any of that. They simply sit still and see what DWG want to do next. Maybe they can get some cutoffs, maybe they can do this, maybe they can do that, but we saw how that worked out for Vertical especially. There's so many people around him, it's just making his head spin. He has no idea which side to possibly challenge, and he gets shot in the back from lobby, even though he knows the presence is there. It's just extremely unfortunate for Oxygen in that moment because these defensive rounds, I mean, they're worth their weight in gold when you can get them on Coastline.
So, big mistake from Oxygen, and now they're going to shift perspective away from Kitchen, which, to be fair, is a bit of an overextension for some teams. They don't always play into that as their go-to sites. This may have just been Oxygen testing the waters for the first round and seeing how strong they could possibly hold positioning. Now we're going to fall into one where things are going to be a lot more straightforward here, as it'll be on the hookah billiards hold for Oxygen next. Mute Jammers to block off the intel for the top cool vibes area, which is going to become an anchor point for Oxygen to play into, and further emphasis on the usual positions, especially over here behind the couches at Spall Bar inside of billiards.
For DAMWON, they feel as though Flores, yeah, he got some stuff done, but for Rin, the Finka might actually end up assisting just a little bit more. The initial drone gone and possibly some intel coming in, yes indeed, but it's right around the corner. Fantastic angle here from Rin. Could possibly find anybody. Nobody able to rotate back into billiards any longer with this LMG just lying in wait. As Rin will more than likely be holding this for a time. This is such a pivotal position to hold on this site, but the only thing that you need to worry about is somebody possibly rotating into Sunrise. But again, this is a professional team, so they should definitely have that covered with a drone or something of the sort. They'll continue to hold on to this space as Rin just saw the barrel of that MP5 peeking out from behind the wall as he simply awaits the arrival of an Oxygen member.
So a minute gone from the round, and again, not going to see a whole lot happening here. That has been the way this series has generally played out so far, so no huge surprises there. But Rin, man, not moving an inch on this lurk here until, of course, we get the hot ping. That's going to force Yogg and at least one other member of Oxygen out of position, and Rin will capitalize on it in a huge way, knocking out Yaga with no damage returned. As clean as it can be here on the opener, and as well some top-down EMP charges coming out there as we'll see a rare Thatcher pick come into the fold here. They were hoping it would have taken care of all the ADSs, but there was one more snuck away on Cool Vibes that does save Kino's life in this instance here, allowing him to keep positioning, but he still has to back away from it as he's a little nervous of what the follow-up could be onto his specific spot behind the deployable shield. Thankfully, the MP has now expired, and we'll see those ADSs reignite, so it'll be safe to go back up there in just a second.
Already got the Selma charge down, though, so this makes Vase a heck of a lot harder to play. Kino, luckily enough, that ADS too low there, just not within the distance of the EMP. They'd have to toss that into the actual hookah space in order to get rid of that, so it'll eat up both of those grenades. But now they know exactly where Kino is as well, and if you guys have been watching this series at all, you'll know that DWG are no strangers to applying pressure to locations that they know that they can, and this is exactly what's going to happen. Woogie pushes through the smoke, they wait until he gets through to activate the Finka, and that's a dead Kino. Nobody paying attention to any push at all. Coded started the plant, Oxygen with no response to this. We need to see the Nitro here, but the plant, it's already gone down, John. What is happening right now to Oxygen?
Oxygen at the moment just walking blind, it seems, inside of these defensive scenarios. They knew they had cool vibes and through extension of that hookah, but now, at the same time, DAMWON Kia not given enough room just yet to secure their post-plant positions. Now it is, however, so that first kill from Vertical might be the only free one he can sneak off here. They've got to fight for every inch of this retake, because it's in such a tough position. You can see Laxi even has to turn the wrong way. They don't account for Coded being right outside the doorway, let alone the rappel positions and the additional platform positions too here. Foxy might be the next to fall, but in fact, he wins the duel versus Katsang, taking him out as he's ran outside to take the duel, trying to pinch this. It won't work out. Woogieman and Cold and hold on to their spots, and it's another successful take here from DAMWON Kia as they're racing up towards 7 with 2 rounds already in their pocket.
That wasn't even that creative. They just set the early player on the double window and then secure Sunrise downstairs, use the EMPs to try and clear out the player here for Vase, and they successfully do so in a sense. They push Kino down into Vibes with the ADS constantly protecting him from those grenades. So what's the answer? Well, it's DAMWON pushing through the toxic smoke. Just because that smoke's there doesn't mean I can't push it. And that's exactly what DWG do. They push through, and then after he gets through the smoke, they activate the Adrenal Surge to give him that extra HP for that fight as well. That was fantastic coordination there from DWG, and Oxygen gobsmacked at the moment. They even have Pulse, and they can't get anything done. I mean, even Foxy, not knowing that anyone's inside of Sunrise in that moment, it's just extremely unfortunate for the time. That's going to be 2 rounds for the offense.
DAMWON Kia with solid control of 2 separate rounds here. This time, Oxygen not even really able to argue that they had it in the early round either. They just canned over so much positioning on a silver platter, especially their Cool Vibes player just not able to respond to it, and no one backing up said Cool Vibes player either. Once he's dead, that's it. Hookah is just handed over to DAMWON Kia, and they can go for a default plant with 0 resistance, and as we mentioned in the middle of the round, that's with Oxygen having 2 nitros in their pocket, which never came into play at any point during that one. So much utility just wasted there for OXG, as they never even get a chance to use it.
Yeah, Coastline is a great map, but when you pick it, that's the problem, is because you don't get to choose the offensive side. You're more than likely going to start on the defense, and this is how things can go. DWG, they've looked so dynamic so far inside of this map. Oxygen have got to get defensive rounds in the moment. DWG, more than likely, able to muster quite a few rounds here. If they get anything at 5, then you really got to start getting worried for what can happen. Really looking for Oxygen to possibly get 2 defensive rounds on this half, but anything past that for DWG, likely all for naught. Either way, though, Coded now will start shooting in towards the positioning of one of the members of Oxygen, but luckily Laxine will hit the deck and behind the luggage boxes and be able to stave off elimination. VIP access now gifted to DWG from these Selma charges. They'll break up the entirety of that wall. It will be a penthouse defense here for Oxygen, and this is looking quite similar to our previous round in a sense. They've already got a player out here on the double window. He'll be able to man this for a time with the other players starting to rotate in. Coded going to drop off towards the outside of the building, not the bathroom drop here, so he'll begin droning out that basement floor. For Rin, it's just going to be onto the angle hold here for the VIP hallway to see if they can secure an Oxygen member rotating back towards the site.
Once again, in action from both of our teams inside of the first minute and a half. Okay, I'll take that right back as Coded's going in the hot swing to get himself inside. And Overwatch from a second player on Rappel. They don't even know. No, the Nitro, it's going to stop it with less than 1 second left on the plant. And Laxing catches Katsang on the big window. Rappel also Rin rotates back in, takes Aqua control, and takes 2 kills as well. We're still even in DAMWON Kia. Yeah, the Gambit play to swing into the site didn't work out, but they've got even player count, so they're not out of this one just yet. The biggest issue they have to face off against now is that they've dropped the case in the site, and they're not going to be able to get that back unless they frag their way to a win.
A minute remaining here for Oxygen to hold on, and that's all they need to do. But can Woogieman possibly deal some serious damage to them that they won't be able to recover from? Currently inside a guitar, awaiting his teammate to try and assist him. Be the Adrenal Surge out from Rin to try and assist from, well, a wider berth, as Yas will try and propel himself forward. Stuns out to burn and stuns out to blind as he'll move his way in. Somebody needs to pick up this case as Foxy, he's all the way over inside of Vase. Yas with the fake here, the smoke goes wide and he'll begin his plant. Ren trying to look for the man down low, but it'll be Laxing to catch him. Yas, will he be able to get the plant? He will, but now they know where he is. That's going to be a simple frag, and Oxygen finally get a defensive round.
DAMWON Kia finally overstepping their attacking strategy just a tad here with the direct swing, having virtually no clear except for a few pieces of utility being taken up by the Rotero drones inside of the site. They test the defenses right out for Oxygen and finally end up losing a bet for the first time in this map here. 2-1 is the scoreline, but obviously DAMWON Kia will quickly adjust for that on the next attempt as we'll more than likely return to that site on the 6th round here. Things working out finally for Oxygen, and they can now choose to go back wherever they would like, but they are going to just keep themselves in the usual rotation, returning back into kitchen and service for the next upcoming round.
Kino able to find some very serious frags inside of that round, but the big saving grace has to be Foxy. The only one that could have possibly have stopped that plant from going on is DAMWON didn't have presence downstairs inside of kitchen. Now the big thing inside of that round that happened was that swing off of the Rotero drone. That's how they had no idea initially as to what was going on, but luckily enough, some sharp ears on Oxygen will discover that plant and be able to slow it down a bit here and secure that round. For Oxygen, we're back down into kitchen, and if you guys do remember, this was a pretty close one as they were able to slow things down, but never actually hop 2 inside of the round, and that was the biggest deal. They never took it to DWG, who inevitably was able to bowl over them in the dying moments and get a plant down that was nigh impossible for Foxy to stop.
DAMWON still in control at a 2-1 lead here, but finally the cracks are starting to show. And OXG, this is a site that they controlled the pacing inside of the early round, but handed over far too much respect the last time it was attempted here, ultimately still allowing for DAMWON to work into a successful assault, despite the relative safe control for our defenders here. So now time to see if they'll make that same mistake again, or if OXG will keep the heat on, keep the pressure up in that last 30 seconds of the round this time, and choke out the potential plant that was allowed to sneak through on the previous play. DAMWON, of course, do need to make some improvements in their own early round here. Try to flush out specifically the front lobby positions as well as any supporting spots in kitchen this time if they want to try and go for the same type of execute in through a direct service play.
Rotero drone out, and it'll get rid of the deployable shield out here, covering the rotation into the main hallway. Yet another one out here for Yas as they'll continue to deliver the onslaught of explosions. It'll blow up this Banshee inside of the main lobby space, but obviously still have to deal with the laser gate as well, but that could come at a later time. For Oxygen, they're simply waiting the arrival of DWG as they still begin clearing out this map. More Rotero drones in and more utility gone here. That's going to be the name of the game here for the opening minute, as that one gets so very much done inside of this one. And luckily enough, DK still have Rin over on the Finca as well, as they did end up switching Yas towards the Flores instead. Now, not too much going on inside of the map. It's DWG looking for their entry point.
Yes, the floodgates are open with all that utility being deleted here. Still one Rotero drone left as well if DAMWON Kia want to try and knock something else out. And that's on top of 2 of the lifeline charges being available here for Katsang. So things looking quite confident for DAMWON as we go into the last minute and a half. They're going to throw in a couple of stun charges here to try and flush out a few members of Oxygen, force some rotations, but nothing going to be spurred on too much just as of yet here. As Katsang now swings in through the big window upstairs, and he'll have one more teammate moving in with him to support him. We'll see at least one of the Selmas, in fact all of them, deployed by Coded there to open things up on the inside of service.
Breaching charges it down as they begin to break up the flooring above the B site, searching for Kino, but obviously he's all the way deep, tucked inside of kitchen, trying to play his life out. As for the rest of Oxygen, they're all off of site in the current moment, which could lead to a possible rush coming in. Nobody inside of that space as Yaga goes down. Now, with the initial pick here, how does DWG want to continue this push? Laxton will be holding on to the white stairs, one inside of this space, and luckily enough, a frag coming the way of OXG. They'll take down Katsang, and they'll be able to equalize.
OXG quickly learning their lessons here and having a much more successful swing, but oh no, biting off a bit more there. Laxing 0-2 bold as he tries to rotate into the front desk itself and gets cut off by Rin. Rin, of course, now being spotted as he entries, and in comes the wild swings from Kino that has been plaguing DAMWON Kia's entry attempts here round after round, but only just a little bit on this one. Coded able to get a rare exchange against him, but Coded overstepping his own position here. No time left. Woogieman, the only player remaining here. He will be able to start the plant, but should be a quick interruption as the rest of the team swarms it against him. Foxe will catch a glimpse of him just through the wall there, shutting him down and now equalizing the scoreline at 2-2.
And that's the 2 rounds that Oxygen desperately wanted on this half. It was looking very bleak early there, especially for DWG's 2 rounds as they continue to bowl over Oxygen. But luckily enough, they bounce back in a pretty convincing way and also keep their tech timeout as well. So fortunately, this is starting to look like they could pull this one out. DK, though, obviously starting to fire on all cylinders, especially for Rin's case, as he's continually been the thorn in the side of this defense. So look to pull ahead here in round 5 as we'll see double bar for the very first time.
Double bar, new site being added in here for OXG as finally they go on a bit of a run for themselves here. 6-pick will be used, but again, it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. Just Foxe moving from a Legion over to a Malusi there, so trying to surprise the different for utility that honestly won't be too surprising for DAMWON Kia here, especially considering we're going to go to the double bars. Malusi is almost a necessity for teams inside of this one, as you do need to slow down that rush that can sometimes happen through the pool door.
Oxygen will break up the blue bar wall as we're used to seeing, as well as start applying a healthy amount of utility inside of Sunrise. Mute Jammer for the wall, as well as a Banshee on the single panel to make sure nobody can rush inside, as well as not destroy that, like putting on a soft wall or something along those lines where it would instantaneously be blown up along with that soft wall. The rest of the reinforcements will be dedicated upstairs to try and assist with slowing down the DAMWON clear, especially for the VIP space where we've seen them start quite often on their end. But now, as soon as we say that, round 5 will commence. Prep phase done and action phase starts now.
Things get started, and it's going to look a little bit slower this time for DAMWON Kia. They'll work their way forward out from spawn, being a little bit cautious of any potential pop-outs here from OXG. Not going to see too much in terms of any counteraction, however, from the OXG side of things, as they too have to be worried themselves about what could happen if they take too many risks here. Quick little Thatcher EMP working its way in with some X-Kairos also to open up the first access point in through the pool door, and that should go off without too much of an issue, and there you go, blows up the Mute Jammer in the process as well, so now they've got the capability to open this hole up even more so, if they would so like, with the EMP expiring just in time there. We see the lights switch back on just after there. They get that wall open.
That's the beauty of Thatcher. Usually there's a lot of convoluted stuff that happens in order to clear those out. Dump in a bunch of utility, make sure the frag grenade can go off, bounce a frag grenade, kill the Mute Jammer, then apply utility and hope that nobody else, well, reapplies utility to the other end. But fortunately, with the EMPs, it makes all of that, well, kind of a moot point. You toss the EMP, you toss your own utility, and now you have a wall. That's how it works. As for Oxygen, continue to spin up around this map. Laxing will climb the white stairs here, looking to see if he can find anybody inside of this space. He'll look out towards Guitar, but nobody home for the time being. Rin has made his way into security here, and this is going to be a solid cutoff that could bag him a frag a little bit later on, as it will actually come through right now. Does he start moving towards security? Oh, this is going to be so very close. Oh, and it's going to be a freebie. Yogg walks right into the clothesline from the LMG.
Yogg expecting some type of rotation if there was going to be a player there. Not really expecting the full send in the corner, so that'll lead to Yogg yet another death going into his pocket. Only 1 assist so far in the game for him, and 5 deaths aside from that. So not the greatest start for him inside of this matchup, but he was lagging behind a little bit in map number 1 too. Rin follows it through with a second one from inside of security also. Things looking a little bit more confident in the site itself, both Foxe and Kino striking true, because Foxe still maintains top presence here in Aqua that for some reason has been completely ignored by DAMWON Kia. Vertical and Foxe, however, are now the only 2 left remaining here, so they will have to look for some rotation point to get themselves back downstairs here in the next 30 seconds. As here we go, another plant attempt finally going to be made. The hop down is made, but it's caught. Foxe dead and Vertical with no HP. He has no dog in the fight, so we will see Rin absolutely shredded apart with 4 kills inside of that round.
This has been an insane coastline out of Rin. And for DAMWON, they have to be feeling themselves after that round, able to work their way in towards blue and begin, well, setting that plant down pretty early. That's obviously going to be stopped out from Oxygen, but since they didn't do it on load time, they were able to reconvene and see what they could possibly do with the space. They'll adjust it across and force Oxygen to rotate downstairs, and ill-advised hop into courtyard from Foxay gets tagged up, and obviously the last remaining member being vertical on literally a sliver's worth of HP, so practically impossible to win a gunfight, I guess, unless you're coded from Villa.
So DAMWON Kia in control yet again, with already over half the rounds on the attacking side controlled, and the possibility to really lock in the advantage at 4-2. But at the same time, OXG going to make a return where we've seen probably their most successful hold yet upstairs inside of Theater. However, remember, if you weren't watching from our previous attempt here, that was mainly due to the fact that DAMWON Kia went for a rather bold plant strategy, just swinging right into the window, having only used the Rotero drones to clear out initial utility placed in that part of the map. Oxygen very quickly responded to that, shut that down, locked the diffuser inside of the site, and made the rest of the round nigh impossible for DAMWON Kia. So a quick switch up on their own strategy, and we could see a much more successful attack be yielded here on the final round of the half.
Oxygen will open up the hatches for transitions in between the top and bottom floor, as well as an extension made out towards Hookah, like we saw the last time around. This will have a mute jammer for the right and an ADS for the left panel here, just to try and assist the player playing this position. Ren not going to take any heat, but will send some shots towards the sunrise window just to ensure that none of the Oxygen members can possibly try and take him out as he transitions towards the roof. Woogie will claim more the service door here for Yas and make sure that, well, nobody gets blown up in the process. Trying to move this around and make sure it's a little bit better in order to make sure that it doesn't get taken out on the door once they try and clear this space out, but also could just reapply it somewhere else. Doesn't seem like they really were too worried about that in the overarching strategy, and yes, indeed, not gonna... Actually, yes, he will reapply. Are we applying it or are we not, Woogie? What are we doing here? Finally, we'll be able to get the Claymore down on the service door, and it'll stay there for a time to guarantee that no runouts happen as DWG start things off on the VIP balcony.
Openings being made now for DAMWON Kia to flood open the positions over by VIP, but OXG will have setups on their own regard inside of the hallway to counteract that, so it's not going to be a clean opening just yet for DAMWON Kia. All it does is enable the capability for them to take fights. It doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll get the room, as we can see Yogg now in position to fend that off, but Yogg's not a guarantee here. Keep in mind, the scoreline for him has been quite rough this series. He's been struggling, unlike the first match of the day versus M&M, so things are going to be a little bit tough for him to contribute here if he ends up in an direct 1v1.
Slow and steady for both of these teams. No one wanting to overstep in the current moment. Yes, this grenade will get eaten up as actually inevitably goes off there. I thought initially the ADS got eaten up, but no, it did indeed get that deployable shield, so making things a little bit harder here. But now DWG really need to focus on this timer. They have to try and get through Kino's smoke utility, and what she has an abundance of at the current moment is Coded trying to pick a couple of these members off over on the west-hand side. Rin starting to pressure the VIP space, or rather the Hookah space, with Yaga inside of Vase. Tries to double back here, not able to find the kills in any significant way just yet, as Coded trying to look for this plant spot. All the smokes coming in. They've wasted so much utility in this area. He'll double back over towards Guitar, and so much time for them to try and work this out, especially with the pick onto Foxay. DWG looking good in the moment.
Rest of DAMWON Kia here. Still looking for ways to swing outside of VIP. They do have a route to plant inside of the corner of the bedroom, and that might be what Coded is working towards now, but he's also going to have some trouble trying to isolate out the player from Oxygen, not only still sitting down the hallway at VIP, but the one still sitting in the back of Theater too. This is DAMWON biting off a little bit more than they can chew by not having dealt with the players in the back of the site here. Kino just ripping them to shreds. Vertical goes down, but it doesn't even matter with the presence still alive at the top of Cool Vibes here. DAMWON don't have a hope of getting any cleanly, and they drop that final round, allowing for OXG to bounce back into it at an even 3-3 scoreline.
Yes, indeed, and Penthouse being the saving grace for Oxygen as they find more than 2 rounds on their defensive end, 2 of those in which coming from that defense. It'll be Hookah here for DAMWON Gaming as they start their defensive half, and actually, no, they're going to switch it up on me. It'll be Kitchen Service instead. Yas initially going to dedicate himself to the Vigil. Will we see a change up in this? We will indeed. It'll be on over to the the Oryx here, as everyone else will obviously have to stick their ops. Kino moving away from the Thatcher and onto the Flores. This is something that we see DWG not go for on their side. They kept the Thatcher in the entire time, and honestly, it got quite a bit done for their utility game in a bunch of different ways. They did not have to deal with these mute jammers directly. They could just simply drop an EMP, open whatever wall that they wanted to, and then begin progression through the map. So we'll see if this is a struggle for Oxygen or exactly how this ends up going for them.
DAMWON following the same path of Oxygen, at least to start off this half, as they work themselves down into the VIP, or rather into the kitchen area, as well as service entrance. As far as the attacking lineup is concerned, it's going to be pretty much as we would expect, very similar to the roster that DAMWON Kia were also bringing in on their own attacking side, with some emphasis on the Flores being played by Kino there to bleed out specifically the service and front utility. And then we'll have Yaga bringing the Finka into the fold. On top of, again, a move that we actually surprisingly didn't see a whole lot of from DAMWON Kia, the Sledge being picked up by Vertical here, which is going to make those top-down openings a little bit easier than the breaching charge route that we saw DAMWON try to go for instead, which, to be fair, ended up working out quite well for them. It just took a little bit longer, I think, to open up some of those angles.
Yes, indeed. And also interesting wrinkle coming in here for the defensive end as well, and one that I'd love to point out for you guys when it comes to DWG. They actually always end up opening this blue bar wall to make sure that they have verticality, or rather horizontal vision in coming in through the lobby space to make sure that, well, no offender can try and rotate in and deal with these Sunrise players as easily. They'll have to try and deal with this directly. Cat saying he's gone fishing but not able to find too much outside. He's going to cross that angle as well, so finally be droned out, but all this is quite scary in the moment, and Cat saying actually going to stick to it. 0-5 at the time and trying to find his first frag. He'll fall back here and worried about the kitchen window and his re-entry into the space.
Neither team wants to truly make the first move here. Oxygen still slowly creeping in from the backside of the map to start sweeping over towards a kitchen assault. A lot more needs to be cleared out before they can get there. Notably, we can see Boogeyman waiting patiently for a member of Oxygen to possibly creep in through security. They misdrone this on a previous round here, so I think Oxygen, or rather DAMWON, are hoping that that misdrone may end up happening again as they try to swing themselves forward. But away from that, it's going to be all quiet on the front here. Neither team wanting to truly take the first risk. But this is a much bigger problem for Oxygen, however, as we talked about endlessly back on map number 1 here, because if they end up losing that initial battle here and we don't see a good follow-through, as we've just seen with Yas picking up the first kill, OXG may struggle tremendously to have enough presence to shift themselves into the site due to the slow-natured way that they tend to approach those executes.
Nade won't end up bagging anything on the top floor as this timer continues to dwindle. Oxygen now fighting the clock as they're trying to fight DAMWON as well, and obviously it appears that DAMWON are winning the current battle. Coded, oh no, so much here as he's able to put the utility away. That was some mechanical flawlessness if I've ever seen it. Lean back, able to at least get the SMG-11 back in his hand before he tears Oxygen to shreds. Their offensive side not coming together in any convincing way just yet, but finally they'll be able to take down Yas. But Katsang's found his own kill as well. Yaga trying to pressure in through the kitchen door here. All these smokes pouring in, but he has to make a move. Lax need to take down one, but they need more than that in the moment, and finally Yaga will push forward. He claims yet another life. Laxing will push in as well behind him. They know that there's a Kegs player. They have so many bullets in this LMG, but he slipped through the cracks. They don't know where he is. He's moved to the other side, and they have to plant this. But the top player, where is he? Where is Rin? Rin, you need to get here. He's just simply sitting inside of the site. He can possibly find a frag if he crosses here, but I don't believe that he'll be able to see him. And Rin letting his teammate out to dry here. And he'll be taken down from Laxing on a round that looked like DAMWON were going to be able to secure early.
Usually surprised we don't see Rin come into the flow there at some earlier point. I'm not sure if he had kind of the winning angle on the top-down perspective for where maybe they thought Oxygen were going to go for a plan or something else. To be fair, we didn't have great vision on what was going on upstairs at the time, so there's a few things he might have been working towards. But either way, from our POV, we could see the player in sight just left out on an island, unfortunately. They're Coded, trying his heart out to delay, and more importantly, keep himself alive. But it's all a futile effort as OXG bully their way in the final seconds of the round due to the great entry power coming in for the 2 remaining players, and they take the lead now as we move into the second half.
Oxygen's going to be happy about this, especially with the 2 early frags coming out from DWG. You thought it was theirs for the loss, but obviously not able to work things out. Ended up actually securing that loss, unfortunately enough for them. So almost dishing that out towards Oxygen's direction, rather. So either way, after those 2 initial frags, not able to win it out, and Oxygen now up and on to the lead for the first time here. In the current moment, though, Oxygen able to at least get some very serious frags on that re-entry and assist themselves in getting that plant down. We'll be looking towards Hookah Billiards this time around, but they'll have to work through a couple of different pieces of utility, and also they won't have access to the OSA like they really enjoyed using in their previous matchups on this map. We'd usually see it go down inside of the billiard space, which would just signify an aqua plant that we're all so very used to, but that position is going to be a little bit harder to stick now, because if, well, you try and go for the fake, there's going to be an angle right across your head over here from Hookah. So we'll see how Oxygen try and deal with this situation, minus the OSA.
OXG with the edge. Now can go for a very slow rolling attack here again. This will be against the Hookah Billiards defense from DAMWON Kia. Fox 8 just going through the usual motions at the beginning of the round, so nothing too surprising, nothing too groundbreaking here, and the same can be said for DAMWON Kia's setup, as they're going to bring the usual spread of utility. 2 mitigators, as well as the Mute Jammer to deny some drone presence, but most of that is going to get immediately bled away. That Mute Jammer actually staying alive, as it's just on the edge of the explosive radius there, so we'll still be able to deny the wall for a little bit longer, as Coded's position will remain stalwart.
Well, slow and steady for both of these squads as the Rotero drones continue to work their way in and try and get rid of most of this utility. A new hole made underneath the rotation as well here, as Woogieman is holding things down currently inside of Sunrise. We'll be continually playing this count, but there's so much pressure inside of this area now. He might be dead very soon as he's trying to find some safe haven to work and has that case down outside, although unbeknownst to him, that's just up to Oxygen in the current moment. Oh man, one trigger pull away from removing Yogg's head, but well, the shoe's on the other foot in the current moment, and Oxygen have found their frag.
Oxygen looking strong again, but keep in mind, these entry powers, these entry kills, I should say, haven't necessarily always translated to an immediate round win for the team. They've gotten tripped up in trying to actually access the site, but I will give them credit. Things are looking quite promising here in the first 2 minutes of play that we have seen. Katsang waiting for a response on the rappel. Nade's getting chucked at him, but going too deep. Might have been to deal with some positioning. Possibility of an extended shield to Katsang's right, so might have not been the priority as of yet. Katsang in the meanwhile here having trouble hunting down the headshot of the player on rappel here, as he's just too quick to move left and right there. So a little bit too difficult of a shot for Katsang to track out in these circumstances. But for Rin, things work out better, and Katsang eventually finds his kill from behind the small bar. Kino will trade on to Rin and regain control over the diffuser, though, as he moves to the inside of Aqua.
The Rotero drone out here, and past that, very minimal utility in order to deal with this situation. Yas with a big kill as Sunrise is allowed. No drone down there for the Oxygen side, but we continually find an equalizer for the offensive team as well. Yas looking for the kill here out on Hookah. Can he find it as he begins to be pressured? Foxay will get him through the couch, and they'll be able to pull ahead by 2.
For DAMWON Kia, or if Oxygen are going to continue to make a nearly flawless run here for the attacking side.
It's a 6-pick here for Oryx, or rather, a 6-pick into Oryx here for Yas, as he'll get away from the disc-wielding Wamai. No frisbees inside of this one, just pure unadulterated aggression, as we have the wall-bursting man himself into the fold. Yet another defensive strategy looking pretty solid here from DWG. This is the exact rotate that we saw the last time that ended up keeping Coded alive for an unbelievable amount of time. Just very unfortunate that he was not able to have Rin there, as Rin is indeed the top frag at the current moment, but just a misplay in the moment there for them, as they were so close to securing their very first defensive round. But Oxygen obviously counting their lucky stars in that one, as it was very, very close, kept going back and forth time and time again, just like we saw in the previous round, as these two continue to bare-knuckle brawl inside of these ones.
DAMWON Kia continuing to look for ways to yield results on this defensive side. after only being able to translate even numbers in their first half on the attack, failing so far in every aspect of their defensive end of things here. Able to delay things slightly, but yep, this is the problem here. You got to avoid getting tripped up by these drones. It's only a distraction. Usually a member of Oxygen not going to be too far behind the drone itself. Woogieman realizes this and backs away to securities. He does not want all the aggression being thrown at him from OXG this early on in the round here. It's pivotal. They try and keep their player count alive for a lot longer than they have been up until this point. So Woogieman going to continue to give over respect. And finally meets himself with results here. Foxe tries to take the duel outside of Lambo, but it's Woogieman that aces the headshot against him instead. And all right, now he's back into it. Even respect being given over by Foxe. He's gonna go forward. Nitro's out. Bye-bye as well. He even tries to chase him down there with the Rotero drone. It's not going to work. And look at the bottom left. That thing's just going to keep on rolling until it finally runs out of time and explodes by the couches. Woogieman, though, he's got to be a bit careful. He's still in a hot seat as he backs away towards the bathrooms and still looking to fight as he peeps out through the drone hole, trying to see if he can find Laxing's feet.
These might be some of the strongest tag timeouts that we have seen from any team. Time and time again, when they take these, they are able to pull themselves out from the depths. He has to go down here, but they've already dealt some serious damage to Oxen, although they do possibly have the refrag here. How's it work out? Oh, Yaga looks away at the last second, and Woogieman, I mean, I don't know who is blessing this guy in the current moment, but he continues to find his mark as he's found 3 in just this round. Oh, Laxing, get off the rappel, my friend. You've been dusted. You've been served, as it's all down to vertical to try and get match point.
Woogieman's playing aim lab right now with the way he's lining up these headshots. They are on point as he snaps them, and we nearly see Vertical get a good one himself there, but he's going to be denied as well. It's Rin on the hatch drop to shut down the round, and finally give us a confident defensive win here for DAMWON Kia. That's going to hurt OXG here, but at the same time, they still maintain a lead with a +1 advantage, so they're not necessarily in a bad strait too early just yet either.
I got to know what the strat book is for this one. Is this, all right, guys, we're losing. Woogie, we need you to kill 4 people. That's what we need. Listen, you're going to run over to security, and you're going to kill everybody.
They've learned from their game versus the Sonics yesterday.
Yes, indeed. That Sonics game was absolutely insane. And honestly, for the Sonics' sake, that was probably one of the most incredible games of Siege I have ever seen them play. I know I referenced it earlier, but if you guys did not see the Kansan clip, first things first, you're living under a rock. And secondly, please go watch that, because it's some of the most disgusting SMG11 play I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been playing this game since beta. So truly insane stuff happening inside of that matchup. But I mean, some incredible things happening here as well, especially if you're a South Korean Siege fan.
Kino's been lining up some heaters over the course of this series too, as he's been on point with his own SMG11 accuracy here. Once again, that's a go-to weapon for so many of our defenders, and at least 1 or 2 of our attackers have access to it as well here, just because it is the highest DPS in the game, the lowest TTK possibility out of all weapons, if I remember the stats correctly.
It's very, very close. I think
there's like 1 more that's above it, right? But like no one uses it because the spray pattern is like too hard to control or something like that.
I don't think the SMG-12 beats it out. I think the SMG, I think you're right, but like there's definitely a couple ARs that are like really close. The AK-12 is the scariest gun in the game in my book. Past that, obviously, it's literally any LMG that you can get your hand on because, well, you just have more bullets than everybody else. And if there's one thing you love inside of Siege, it's having bullets.
Yes.
Yas able to find the drone here inside of Office. And speaking of guns that are pretty interesting, we are going to have Kino here. Not with the DMR, he will have the V308 here, as we're going to have Lion adopted into the mix.
And for those who missed it, it's a good thing that Yas finds that drone too. You saw him kind of creeping up towards the door. It was looking like he was thinking about going for a run out, but obviously second guesses it when he manages to spot that drone. So great Overwatch there. Good early, like, high IQ play from him to be able to spot that one out and second guess his decision there, because that could have been an easy first kill going into the pocket of Oxygen had he just full sent it out the doorway. Vertical, though, will line him. Okay, on this window repel, and very quickly gets a nitro thrown at him. Thankfully, it's very easy to telegraph one, so gets himself out of there. It only takes a bit of a sliver of damage there, about 1/3 of his HP being removed as he tries to back away from that one. Kino now primed and ready to take on a challenger should one swing out from behind the bar, but at this point, DAMWON don't necessarily have any reason to try and bait into those early fights here. Just fishing for a kill, and I think the lake is empty this early in the day.
Yes, indeed. Likely all asleep, as my grandpa used to tell me. Yas now looking for the initial frag here, but it'll be Rin instead to reconvene here and bring us down to the 4 versus 4. Beautiful shot from him, and Vertical with the possibility of a frag on Decoded. He'll be able to secure that for his teammate as Laxing takes down yet another. It's a 2 versus 4 now for DAMWON, but will they have the ability to fight out of it? Yas, no prevention down low, so that case down. They'll have to pick that back up and look to start this plant, but looks like the kills might come before the plant does here as Yas starts to peek out from inside of Vase. And yes, Yaga with a beautiful frag here. Sees the cross and the plant begins, waiting for this player inside of the space, but not able to land his shots. Foxay will find the frag, and they'll find match point.
Way too much intel bleeding over into OXG's side of things, and unfortunately for DAMWON, way too many players too eager to take a fight there as well, trying to jump out and take challenges versus the members of OXG. That's exactly what they want, and within most cases, them having the advanced intel of where they were in the first place, they fall right into the trap, giving over kill after kill to our attackers here, and yet another successful attack going into their pocket. OXG sits at the precipice here, 6-4. 1 out of the next 2 is all they need, and we'll be forced onto a map 3 to truly decide the winner of this series, and more importantly, decide who gets to stay in the tournament.
If there's one thing about these NA teams, when they're backed into a corner, they are going out with a fight. That is what we're seeing here from OXG, as once again trying to force us on over to Clubhouse, which would be the last map in between these two. Something has to give. Somebody has to go home in between these two teams, and obviously Oxygen does not want it to be them. It's going to be a double bar setup for our defensive team now, as we'll begin setting this up. No real interesting characters working themselves in for either side. Kino will be keeping the Lion and his EE1Ds in play, so we'll see if they can continue to lock up the DAMWON squad.
DAMWON now looking to rebound here as their players, aside from 2 very bright shining stars, Woogieman and Rin, have been struggling to a massive extent inside of this game here. Katsang, as we can see specifically, he's been put on the task to hold specifically upstairs in the hookah billiards holes behind that bar, and despite multiple challenges being taken against the big window swings, he's only sitting at 2 and 8 right now. Yaz similarly at 3 and 7, and Coded also at 4 and 8. A huge contrast from both Woogieman and Rin, who sit at 10 and 14 kills respectively here, so a little too top heavy at this point for the DAMWON roster, meaning a kind of hunt for Oxygen to knock those 2 players out at the beginning of the round. If they can eliminate them, the rest of the follow-through is a pretty simple affair, as unfortunately they're not too keen on their capability to fight at this point in the server.
Obviously could change up on a dime as Suns pour in here. On the opposite end of the door just yet. Kino, I believe he'll have that Gon 6 eaten up there as the shield had been protected. Did he get it? Yes, it did indeed get protected with those ADSs underneath the bar. Those ones kind of difficult to get in the moment for Oxygen, so won't be able to do it just yet, but they still have frag grenades and everything of the sort to try and deal with that. Biggest thing is that they would have to do it on timing as of right now. Trying to add more into the pile here, but the Wamai catching as well. Those ADS is still dedicated to that shield. This is a beautiful setup for DAMWON as of right now, and a frag grenade will fall on the floor as Yas takes out Yogg right outside the Sunrise window.
A good start here and a confident win as well, one we certainly needed to see here from a player that we just talked about that had been struggling here. So that's a great pickup here. Much more confident hold. Rin as well catching Vertical. That eliminates him. Still have the Lion in play here as Kino will be able to use that utility at a later point, so possibly to swing back off of that, but at a 3 versus 5 now with virtually no inside presence gained as yet here for Oxygen. They've got a lot of makeup work to do as his first 2 fights falling away from them is going to hurt, but thankfully these fights are taken much earlier in the round. That was a point that we talked about during the last map. So, Kino taps in, isn't able to find the full spray though, he doesn't really want to go for it. I think he was hoping that first shot might have been the headshot. They could have taken Yas down outright, so he's given the very serious warning, allowed to back away from it. Foxay now caught in a lurk on the interior bathrooms of the first floor. Also, Woogieman eliminates him. Finally, an exchange is found from Kino to take out Yas, but that still only brings us down to a 2v4 with a little under a minute remaining.
Oh, Woogieman, very aware of what Laxing more than likely wants to do with this space. He's just awaiting his arrival. Prone underneath the door, and Woogieman more than likely will be able to hear him crawling through. And well, hi, Laxing. How you doing there, buddy? Kino now the last remaining member, and a lot to do for him. Not able to secure the frag. Obviously knows where that member is, but really can't get too much more done past that. He'll stand on top of the box, awaiting the swing once again. Catsec getting tagged up, but giving just about as good as he's getting, as the damage is about equal in between the two. Case currently over on the Mudroom side here, as he'll be forced to double back, as Oxygen more than likely just chalking this one out in the moment. Really not too much for him to do, and Coded will end that round as they're looking for overtime the next.
Much more confident when there is really no positioning lost at any point in the round by the members of DAMWON Kia. They're able to fend off Oxygen at nearly every single entry point, so a huge contrast to what we had been seeing. That's what DAMWON want to have occur on every single one of these defensive rounds. That's what they're hoping to have happen on their upstairs holds as well, with some of these aggressive challenges they've been taking for Oxygen. Unfortunately, just never seeing the rounds play out that way due to the instability of the frag capability. In game now, and the operator selects aren't going to yield any huge surprises here. Yeah, we had a 6 pick, but it's things we have already seen before. The Oryx pickup coming in for DAMWON, so that should be telegraphed pretty quickly by Oxygen, and technically not even really a 6 pick for the Oxygen side, as they just go from a Thatcher to a Thatcher, so no changes there.
Now, you have two Thatchers now, right? You have like multiple, you have double the EMPs. That's how that works.
It's the clone of Thatcher.
Could you imagine if that's how that worked? If you doubled up on utility when you 6-picked to the same op? That would be the most absurd thing. Honestly, I would love to see a game mode in Siege where you just have endless utility for every operator. That would be just so absurd. Like unlimited reinforcements, unlimited utility. Oh, it'd be so disgusting. But
I don't think the servers could handle that.
No, honestly, we'd probably set all of the servers on fire. That's what would happen.
I think it would crash like 30 seconds into the problem. So.
Well, it would, because I would just play like Ella, and I'd just be chucking Grishmods everywhere. Literally just tossing those things like candy. Yeah. Could you imagine?
Get a demo man in TF2 or something.
Like Zophia's lifeline, just constant impacts flying through the map. Oh man, that would be so crazy. But we don't want to get off too far off subject here, boys and girls, as we are so very close to seeing who can possibly take this map. And for Oxygen, if they're able to get it, we have the extension. They're already out, and 30 seconds down, they'll begin breaking up some of these angles, specifically over towards Blue Bar, to try and see out towards Vibes. This is going to be manned by Catsang, waiting for the crosshair, and this could be the initial frag coming back. And oh, is he going to be worried about the angle? Please do be. He sees it, but oh, so very close. As if he shattered the window on that initial volley, then he more than likely would have been able to secure the kill onto Kino. He just simply couldn't see him.
A little scared there on that peak for DAMWON's sake, because these have been risky when they've gone for them here. More often than not, leading into an early kill for Oxygen instead, especially with the Finka boost constantly coming back out there. Yaga already deploying that first Adrenal Surge as he looks to entry into Office, and that's not the only point they've taken control of. A few other members already starting to whittle their way in and bleed out control, but it's going to be Yas that finds the first kill of the round, utilizing that Oryx's vertical mount ability to get himself back up on top through the Office hatch, and now abuse the first entry from Kino, one of the strongest contenders inside of the server right now for Oxygen, dead on the ground, and that'll be a loss to be surely missed in the last minute and a half of this round.
Well, for Oxygen, it's not about the scoreboard anymore. It's about getting this round in any way humanly possible. The drone game now looking for some extra intel onto the DAMWON members, as they seriously need to get a frag back into their graces. Drones in towards site to see if it's possibly soft this time around, but no, Catsang as well as the smoke player inside of this space will begin smoking off the kitchen door. Frag grenade out for the bulletproof as well, as Yago clean that up, but now we're down to the dying minute.
60 seconds left. Oxygen frozen. This is not what we want to see from them here. It needs to be decisions being made and no delay on that. Pulling up for drone intel, that's fine, but waiting around for a pick, that's not good. However, it seems like it was the earlier of those two situations. Vertical, as he lines up the nade versus Coded, evens out the player count here, and now DAMWON have to quickly draw their own players back to prevent the kitchen plant. This is a great cross from Yas. The timing's off though. He can't necessarily kill anyone immediately, and he won't even get the confirmation onto Vertical. Instead, it's going to be Rin who does it instead. Laxing leaping down to try and quickly get Vertical back into the fight, but on top of that, he's found another kill as well. This was winnable incredible for DAMWON, but a missed opportunity now gives one over to Oxygen. Instead, as Laxing moves in, they're going to try to res their teammate, and Laxing the Overwatch to save the day, but now he's got to get Foxy back up as Vertical was lost, but Rin was traded. Kotsang alone here inside of the 1v2. No Overwatch in this kitchen position just yet, but he fires out too early here, gives away the plant opportunity. Laxing has to stick it here. Kotsang just has to sneak in. He's barely got the angle, but Foxy instead sneaks off the headshot. We're going to map 3, ladies and gentlemen, as they close it down in the final round of regulation.
I was so very close in between those two. The shots from Kotsang hitting the shoulder of the planter there, as well as those blood spurts just coming out, but fortunately